Welcome you all. Today we will discuss about the instruments of monetary policy. One of the important policy in an economy is the monetary policy, and monetary policy refers to the action undertaken by a nation's central bank to control money supply and achieve sustainable economic growth. That is, monetary policy are the policies undertaken by the nation's central bank, and its objectives are to control money supply and also to achieve sustainable economic growth. It is a monetary policy. The monetary policy is the macroeconomic policy laid down by the central bank. Thus, it is part of the macroeconomic policy. The monetary policy includes management of money supply and interest rate, and is the demand side economic policy used by the government of a country to achieve macroeconomic objectives like controlling inflation, improving consumption, attain growth rate, and control or stabilize the liquidity in the economy. That is, here the monetary policies are the policies by the central bank, and it aims mainly to control the money supply and control the money supply. It is a macroeconomic policy, and it is the demand side economic policy. And the major objectives are to control inflation, improvement in consumption, attain specified economic growth, and a stable liquidity in the economy. Major objectives of monetary policies are given in this section. Major objectives of monetary policies include rapid economic growth, price stability, exchange rate stability, balance of payment equilibrium, full employment, neutrality of money, income distribution, that is equal income distribution. These are the specific objectives of the monetary policy, that is rapid economic growth, attains price stability, exchange rate stability, balance of payment equilibrium, full employment, neutrality of money, equal income distribution. Let us see in detail what are these objectives. First objective is rapid economic growth. It is the most important objective of monetary policy. And the monetary policies can influence economic growth by controlling interest rate. And if interest rate is controlled, we can control the investment. If we need more growth, then interest rate must be reduced, and then investment will be increased, and we can attain the economic growth. This is the strategy used by the monetary policy for achieving the economic growth. If RBI or the central bank opt for cheap or easy credit policy, by reducing interest rate, the investment level in the economy can be encouraged. This increased investment can increase the economic growth, and it will lead to maintaining income and price stability. This is the strategy used by monetary policy for achieving the rapid economic. That is the major tool used here is the reduction in interest rate and by improvement in the investment level. Second important objective is the price stability. That is, price stability means control inflation and deflation. It is both the inflation and deflation are harmful to the economy, and the monetary policy therefore aims at the price stability to keep the volume of money stable. Price stability helps the economy to attain reducing the income and wealth inequalities. Easy money policy should be adopted during the deflationary period, and if economy is facing inflationary policy, then contractionary fiscal policy must be adopted. If the economy is facing deflationary situation, then the expansionary policies are used for the maintaining price stability in the economy. Third important objective is exchange rate stability. What is exchange rate? Exchange rate is the price of a home currency in terms of any foreign currency. That is, the expression of home currency in terms of foreign currency is termed as the exchange rate. That is, rate of rupee in terms of US dollar or other countries' currency is termed as exchange rate. If the exchange rate is volatile, it will leads to the frequent ups and downs in the exchange rate, and it will create some problems in the confidence in the economy, especially with respect to the investment and the like. And therefore, the monetary policy aims at maintaining the relatively stable exchange rate in the economy. The RBI alters foreign exchange reserves and tries to influence the foreign exchange and maintain the foreign exchange rate stability in the economy. This is the third objective. That is, the first objective is rapid economic growth. Third one, control inflation and deflation, that is price stability. Third one is control volatility in exchange rate, that is exchange rate stability. Then the fourth one is balance of payment equilibrium. We know that India suffers from the disequilibrium in balance of payment, and the central bank through its monetary policy tries to maintain equilibrium in the balance of payment, that is controlling the balance by controlling balance of payment surplus and balance of payment deficit. The balance of payment surplus reflects an excess supply of money in the economy, while balance of payment deficit shows stringency of money in the economy. And therefore, it is the duty of the central bank to maintain a stable or equilibrium in the balance of payment. This is the fourth objective. Then another objective is full employment, though it is not possible. All the policies, monetary policies by the central bank finally aims at improving the level of employment in the economy. Another one is the neutrality of money, that is the economists such as Wickstred, Robertson always considered money as a passive factor. And according to them, money should play only a role of medium of exchange and not more than that. That is, money should be considered as a medium of exchange only, and the monetary policy should regulate the supply of money. And the changes in money supply creates monetary disequilibrium. This monetary policy has to regulate the supply of money and neutralize the effect of money expansion. But this objective of monetary policy is always criticized on the ground that if money supply is kept constant, then it would be difficult to attain price stability. Here, the neutrality of money implies that this argument was put forward by some economists, that is, the role of money is as a medium of exchange, and the monetary policy should act as a medium for controlling the money supply. That is, the role of money should be neutral. Third one is the equal income distribution. This is also a part of the growth objective of the monetary policy. That is, the monetary policy should be framed in such a way as to reduce the imbalances in the regions, various categories of the people, etc. The monetary policies, if we examine the instruments of policy, we could see that it is framed to achieve the equal income distribution in the economy. These are the objectives of monetary policy. Therefore, the objectives of the monetary policy are rapid economic growth, price stability, exchange rate stability, balance of payment equilibrium, achieve full employment objective, keep the money as neutral, equal income distribution, or reduce the inequality in the distribution of money and in the distribution of income. And when we discuss about the monetary policy, we could say that the important role of monetary policy is to control inflation and deflation in the economy. And accordingly, monetary policies are classified into two, that is expansionary and contractionary. A brief description about what is the expansionary policy and contractionary policy is given in this section. Expansionary policy means the monetary authority tries to stimulate the economy by injecting more money into the economy. Monetary authority tries to stimulate the economy by maintaining short-term interest rate at a lower rate and then increase the total supply of money in the economy more rapidly. It is used to reduce unemployment during recession and thereby improving the economy. And this would increase the aggregate demand, that is the overall demand for goods and services in the economy, and which would increase the short-term growth as measured by the increase of GDP. Expansionary monetary policy, by increasing the amount of currency in circulation, usually diminishes the value of currency relative to other currency, which in case foreign purchaser will be able to purchase more with their currency in the country with the devalued currency. That is, here the expansionary policies are used. The expansionary policies are used by the monetary authority during the deflation or the recession period. Here, this monetary authority aims to stimulate the economy, and the major tool used is the reduction in the interest rate. If the interest rate is very low, the investment will increase, unemployment can be reduced, more employment can be provided, and thereby the economy's growth will increase, and this will lead to a boost or stimulus into a stimulation in the economy. And finally, the recession or the deflationary situations can be improved or can be removed or reduced. This is the strategy of expansionary policy. That is, expansionary policies are used to stimulate or to improve or to increase money supply in the economy. And the second one is contractionary monetary policy. Here the objective is to reduce the money supply in the economy. That is the contraction of contractionary monetary policy. This is usually done if the supply of money in the economy is higher. If the situation when the supply of money is higher is termed as inflation. That is, contractionary monetary policies are used during the period of inflation to reduce the supply of money in the economy and thereby inflationary situation in the economy. And these contractionary policies may lead to the increased unemployment and depressed borrowing, that is spendings by the consumer, etc., which eventually lead to an economic recession if implemented too vigorously. That is, to reduce the money supply in the economy. These two policies are used to control or in accordance with the situation of inflation or deflation. Expansionary policy, if deflation prevails, that is, the economy need more money supply or more income to improve the growth, then expansionary policy, that is, it is a stimulus package. And contractionary policy during inflation to reduce the money supply in the economy and thereby reduce the adverse effect of the inflation in the economy. Here the various types of monetary policy are explained. We know that we have different approaches, or the different countries uses different approaches for monetary policy targeting. And this monetary policy targeting, monetary policies are also termed as monetary policy regime, like exchange rate is foreign exchange rate is termed as for exchange rate regime, etc. Here monetary policy can also be termed as monetary regime. Some of the important types of monetary policy are inflation targeting, then price level targeting, monetary aggregate, fixed exchange rate, gold standard, mixed policy. These are some of the important types of monetary policy that or the approaches used for control used by different central banks as their monetary policy. Here the target market variable as well as the long-term objectives are given. In the inflation targeting, the target market variable will be the interest rate on overnight debt. In the case of the price level targeting also, the same is used. And in the case of the monetary aggregate, growth in the money supply is considered as a target variable. That is, money supply is the target variable. Fixed exchange rate, the spot price of the currency is the target variable, and that variation in this prices of the currency is considered as a tools to control the as a tool for monetary policy. Then in the case of the gold standard, spot price of gold is considered, and if the country is using mixed policy, then usually the interest rates are used as an instrument for as a target variable for achieving the monetary policy. And now we are using the inflation targeting as an approach to monetary policy, and under this approach the target is to keep inflation a particular definition such as consumer price index within a desired range. Inflation target is achieved through periodic adjustment to the central bank's interest rate target. Here also the target variable is interest rate, and interest rate used is generally overnight rate at which bank lend to each other overnight for cash flow purposes. Depending on the country, this particular interest rate might be called the cash rate or something similar. This is the inflation targeting, and one of the popular type of monetary policy approach is the inflation targeting. Here the inflation targeting will be the targets of the monetary policy, and the tools mainly used is the interest rate. And another term usually used in monetary policy analysis is the nominal anchor. This term is also commonly used in the monetary policy analysis. What is this nominal anchor? There will be a variable which is used for controlling the money supply, or there will be one variable which is used as an instrument of monetary policy by the central authority in each and every economy. Another important term used is the nominal. That is, a nominal anchor for monetary policy is a single variable or device which the central bank uses to pin down expectation of private agents about the nominal price level or its path, or about what central bank might do with respect to achieving that path. That is, there will be objectives of the monetary policy, and what is the single variable that is used for achieving that objective is simply termed as the nominal anchor. And these important nominal variable or single variable used as anchors are the exchange rate regime, money supply regime, and inflation target with interest rate policy. Here, the inflation in India we uses inflation target as a nominal anchor now in recent period. This is the nominal anchor. Now, let us see the instruments of monetary policy. When a central bank implements monetary policy, it is implemented through various instruments, and these instruments are divided into two categories. They are quantitative instruments and qualitative instruments. Used as the instrument of monetary policy are the quantitative instruments and qualitative instrument. In this section, we are mainly focusing on the monetary policy instruments used in India. Important quantitative instruments. We know that the instruments of monetary policy are divided into two, quantitative and qualitative instruments. The important quantitative instruments are bank rate, open market operation, variations in reserve ratio, ready purchase offer and reverse repo rate, marginal standing facility rates. These are the important rates used by the monetary authority as quantitative instrument. Important qualitative instruments are fixing the margin requirements, regulation of consumer credit, publicity, credit rationing, moral suasion, control through directives, and direct actions are the important qualitative instruments used by the monetary authority or central bank as a tools of monetary policy. That is, we uses two types of monetary policy, quantitative and qualitative. The instruments are quantitative. Then, what is a quantitative instrument? Quantitative instruments are also known as general tools. These are the general tools of monetary policy. These tools are mainly used to control the volume of money in the economy. They are designed to control the total volume of bank credit in the economy, and they are indirect in nature and are employed for influencing the quantity of credit in the economy. That is, here quantitative instrument mainly aims at controlling the credit in the economy by controlling the money supply in the economy. Important tools used as quantitative instruments are explained in the following section. The first instrument is bank rate policy. This is one of the important techniques used in the monetary policy for influencing the quantity or the volume of credit in the country. It refers to the rate at which central bank that is the Reserve Bank of India, rediscount bills and prepare of commercial banks or provide advances to the commercial bank against approved security. It is the rate at which central bank rediscount bill or provide banks advances and or provides advances to the commercial bank against the approved securities. This is the bank rate, that is rate of lending by the central bank. It is the standard rate at which the bank is prepared to buy or rediscount bill of exchange or other commercial paper eligible for purchase under the RBI Act. It is the standard rate of purchasing or rediscounting bill or other commercial paper from the central bank, and this is used to affect the actual availability and the cost of credit in the economy. Any change in the bank rate results into the changes in the cost of credit available to the commercial bank. If the RBI increases the bank rate, then it would reduce the volume of commercial banks' borrowings from the RBI. And it controls credit expansion as it becomes more costly affair. On the other hand, if RBI reduces the bank rate, the borrowings by the commercial banks will be easy and cheaper, and it will boost the credit expansion or credit creation in the economy. That is, any change in the bank rate is normally associated with resulting changes in the lending rate and in the market rate of interest. The efficiency of bank rate as a tool of monetary policy depends on the existing banking network, interest elasticity of investment demand, size and strength of money market, international flow of funds, etc. These are the major factors that determines the effective functioning of the bank rate policy. Here, bank rate is simply the lending rate by the central bank to the commercial bank, or it is the standard rate for this rediscounting of bill. During inflation, the central bank usually increases the bank rate. If central bank increases the bank rate, then purchases by the commercial banks from the central bank will decrease, and thereby the credit creation in the economy can be reduced. If credit creation is reduced, money supply in the economy can be reduced, and thereby inflation or the money supply in the economy can be reduced. If the deflationary situation prevails, then bank rate will be reduced. This will boost the credit creation in the economy, and the money supply in the economy will be increased, and thereby the economy can improve. This is the strategy used by the bank rate. Second one is the open market operation. The open market operation refers to the purchase or sale of short-term and long-term securities by the RBI in the open market. That is, it is the purchase or sale of short-term and long-term securities by the RBI in the open market is termed as open market operation. This is also one of the important instruments used by the monetary authority. It is used to wipe out shortage of money supply in the market, to influence the term and structure of interest rate and stabilize the market for government securities. If the open market operation refers to the purchase or sale of short-term or long-term securities by the RBI in the open market. Therefore, there are two actions: purchase or sale of short-term and long-term securities by the RBI. These two actions have different effects on the economy. If RBI sells securities in the open market, who buys it? It will be purchased by the commercial banks and individual. This will automatically reduce the money supply in the economy, as the money supply in the economy will be transferred to the RBI. That is, this RBI sell securities in the open market if there is inflationary situation in the economy. The opposite is the situation or is the functioning of the open market operation if RBI purchases the securities in the open market. RBI purchases securities from the commercial bank in the open market. Commercial banks sell it and get back the money they had invested in them. Then the supply of money in the economy will increase. Then the recession or the deflationary situation in the economy can be reduced. That is, during deflationary period, the central bank purchases securities, and during inflation, the central bank or the RBI sells securities. These are two selling of securities in the open market is to infuse money supply in the economy, and purchase of securities in the open market by central bank is to remove excess liquidity in the economy. And these two operations have to stabilize the money supply in the economy. The success of this policy also depends upon the developments of the security market, excess reserve with the commercial banks, indebtedness of the commercial banks, etc. Third one is variations in reserve ratio. The first one is the bank rate, it is the lending rate. Second one is the open market operation, and this open market operation includes two operations, purchase and selling of securities by the central bank in the open market, and this RBI sells securities in the market during inflationary period, that is to remove the excess liquidity from the economy, and RBI purchases security in the open market to infuse liquidity into the economy. And the third important instrument is variations in reserve ratio or VRR. The commercial banks have to keep a certain proportion of their total asset in the form of reserves with the central bank. The commercial banks have to keep a certain portion of their total asset in the form of reserves. A part of these reserves are kept with the RBI for purpose of maintaining liquidity and controlling credit in the economy. These ratios are termed as cash reserve ratio and statutory liquidity ratio. That is, reserve ratios includes two ratios. They are cash reserve ratio and statutory liquidity ratio. Then what is this cash reserve ratio? Cash reserve ratio refers to the percentage of commercial banks' net demand and time liabilities with commercial bank to be kept with the central bank. That is, it is the part of the demand and time deposit kept by this commercial bank with the central bank is termed as the cash reserve ratio. And second reserve ratio is statutory liquidity ratio. It refers to the percent of reserves to be maintained in the form of gold or foreign securities. That is, first one is in terms of cash, second or statutory liquidity ratio is in terms of gold or foreign securities. In India, CRR by law remains from 3 to 15% and SLR from 25 to 40%. Any change in VRR, that CRR plus SLR, these two terms are used together in the sense that their functioning are in similar direction. Any change in VRR brings out a change in commercial bank's reserve position. That is, by varying VRR, commercial banks' lending capacity can be affected, and thereby the central bank can control the credit creation process of central bank to control money supply in the economy. That is, changes in the VRR helps in bringing changes in the cash reserves of the commercial banks, and therefore it can affect the bank's credit creation multiplier. The RBI increases VRR during inflation. That is, cash reserve ratio and statutory liquidity ratio must be increased during inflation. Must be increased during inflation means what? That is, the reserves to be kept with the central bank has to be increased. If the reserves are increased, the credit creation or the money with the commercial banks will be reduced and the credit creation process can be reduced, and therefore the money supply in the economy can be reduced. That is, during inflation, VRR is usually increased. During period of a recession or depression, it usually reduces the VRR. That means the reserves to be kept with the central bank must be reduced to infuse more liquidity in the economy. This is a third important tool, that is variations in reserve ratio. In this reserve ratio, we use two important types of the ratios, that are cash reserve ratio and statutory liquidity ratio. Cash reserve ratio is the reserve ratio in the form of cash, and statutory liquidity ratio means reserves in the form of gold or foreign securities. If it is increased during the period of inflation and decreased during the period of recession or depression. And the fourth important instrument is repo and reverse repo rate. Repo is the ready to purchase of. This repo and reverse repo are part of open market operation, or it is similar to the open market operations. Here also, selling and buying by the central bank is used to control the money supply in the economy. But there will be some clauses, that is the ready to purchase offer and the reverse repo transactions. Repo and reverse repo transactions. What is a repo transaction? Here, the funds are mobilized by selling securities and simultaneously agreeing to buy back them or repurchase them at a specified price and date. This is an offer. Therefore, this comes under the repo transaction, even though it is similar to the open market operation. Here, funds are mobilized by selling securities, and there will be an offer also, agreeing to buy back them or repurchase them at a specified price and date. RBI is the buyer in the repo market and commercial banks are the seller. RBI buys securities, or RBI is lending money to the security, or they are giving money to the commercial bank by purchasing the securities from the commercial bank when it enters into an agreement to buy back the securities at a specified price and at a specified rate. These repo transactions are conducted by the RBI. Here, RBI is the buyer. They purchase the securities from the commercial bank in the repo market, and this is to infuse liquidity into the banking system. It is the rate at which the commercial bank borrow from the RBI, or it is the rate at which the RBI purchases the securities from the commercial bank. These two transactions are done during the period, or the repo transactions are done during the period of recession or deflationary situation. A reverse repo transaction is an agreement whereby commercial bank first buy the securities from RBI and sell them at a specified price and date to the RBI. Here, in the repo market, RBI is the buyer. In the reverse repo market, commercial banks are the buyer. And the RBI is borrowing money from the commercial bank by selling securities. This is conducted to remove excess liquidity from the economy. That is, this is the mechanism of reverse repo transaction. That is, repo transactions are to control, to infuse liquidity into the economy, and reverse repo transactions are to remove excess liquidity in the economy. Repo transactions are mainly during the period of deflation, and reverse repo transactions are used to control the inflationary situation in the economy. And another important tool is the marginal standing facility. The marginal standing facility is the rate at which the commercial banks can borrow from the RBI in their discretion overnight, even without pledging securities. During the period of inflation, RBI will raise the marginal standing facility rate, and during deflation it will be reduced. This is the overnight lending rate of the central bank to the commercial bank without pledging the securities This is the marginal standing facility rate. This is also used as an important tool for controlling the money supply by the Reserve Bank of India. Here, the different quantitative instruments and their impact on inflation and deflations are given. That is here, bank rate, CRR, SLR repo and reverse repo, marginal standing facility, all these has to be increased during the inflation and has to be reduced during the deflationary period. In the open market, during the period of inflation, RBI sells securities, and during deflation, RBI purchases securities. This is the operation of these quantitative instruments during inflation, or if this is a simple rates of important instruments, quantitative instruments of monetary policy during 2020 October is given here. Repo rate is 4%, reverse repo rate is 3.35, marginal standing facility rate is 4.25, bank rate is 4.25, CRR 3 and SLR 18. This is the latest quantitative rates of the different quantitative instruments, and there exists some relationship between these rate also. Reverse repo rate is the repo rate minus base rate. There will be a base rate in each monetary policy, and repo rate minus base rate will be equal to the reverse repo rate, and marginal standing facility rate is the repo rate plus base rate, and bank rate will be equal to the marginal standing facility rate. If one of these rate is given, we can calculate the other rates. If the base rates are given, base rates will be given in the monetary policy by the Reserve Bank of India. Now let us see the important qualitative instruments, or it is also known as selective tools. Not used to control the credit or the use of credit in the economy. This qualitative instrument or selective tools are used for discriminating between different uses of credit. That is, in the quantitative instrument we know that it is used for controlling the quantity or the use of credit. Here we are discriminating the uses of credit. Give more credit to this sector, less credit to this sector. These types of strategy is used in the qualitative instruments, that we are discriminating between different uses. The most important tools used as qualitative instrument or selective tools in India are given or are explained as follows. First one is fixing margin requirement. This is one of the important qualitative instrument used by the central bank to control the money supply in the economy. This margin refers to the proportion of loan amount which is not financed by the bank, or it is the part of loan which a borrower has to raise in order to get finance for these purposes. This method is used to encourage credit supply for the needy sector and discourage it for other necessary sector. It can be done by increasing the margin for non-necessary sectors and by reducing the margin for the needy sector. Here margin simply means that if we apply for a loan of 5 lakhs, usually the banks will approves 4 lakhs, the remaining portion has to be raised by the customer himself. This portion is termed as the margin. Usually if the bank feels that it is necessary, then they can reduce for unnecessary, can give more as a loan, and if this sector is not a necessary one, then usually this margin can be increased to reduce the use of loans for such purposes. This is the fixing margin requirements. Second one, consumer credit regulation, that is reduce the credit for consumer durables or hire purchase installment sales, etc., to reduce the money supply in the economy. Third one is publicity. That is, this is another important method used by central bank to control the money supply in the economy. They publishes various reports stating that what is good and what is bad in the system, and this published information can help the commercial bank to direct credit supply in the desired sectors. Through its weekly and monthly bulletins, the information is made public and bank can use it for attaining goals of monetary policy. That is, central bank uses its various mechanism for publishing the activities to be done during that particular situation. Then fourth one is credit rationing. Credit rationing means limiting the amount of credit to various sectors in the economy. Then fifth one is moral suasion. That is, moral suasion means suggestions to the bank. That is, give suggestions to the bank. It helps in restraining credit during inflationary period. Commercial banks are informed about the expectations of central banks through the monetary policy. That is what the central bank will give suggestions to the commercial bank. That is the moral suasion, that is suggestion as an instrument. Here publicity means providing information. Credit rationing means controlling the credit facilities to various sectors. Moral suasion means provision of suggestion. All these measures are not quantitative, these are the qualitative measures. Then control through directives. Under this method, the central bank issues frequent directives to the commercial banks, and these directives guides commercial banks in framing their lending policies. These directives can be used by the commercial banks in framing their policies. Through a directives, the central bank can influence the credit structure, supply of credit to certain limits for a specific purposes. And the RBI issues directives to the commercial banks for not lending loans to speculative sectors such as securities, etc. These are the directions from the central bank. And the next important one is direct action. The central bank usually gives suggestions, directions, etc. If this is not working, then the RBI can impose an action against a bank. If certain banks are not adhering to the RBI's directives, then RBI may refuse to rediscount their bill and securities. The RBI may refuse credit supply to those banks, etc. are some of the important actions that can be taken by the Reserve Bank or the central banks to control the money supply in the economy. These are some of the important qualitative instruments. Therefore, the qualitative instruments includes the fixing the margin requirements, that is the margin proportions to be prepared by the customer, regulation of consumer credit, then give publicity, then credit rationing, give suggestions, then directions, and finally the direct action. These are the important qualitative instruments. Here we know, or we have seen, that the central bank is using the strategy of discriminating between different uses of the credit. And now in this section, some of the limitations of the monetary policy are given. We know that we have strict and strong quantitative and qualitative instruments. Then also the money supply is not under the control of the Reserve Bank or the Central Bank of India. Some of the important reasons for the obstacles in the implementation of the monetary policies are given in this section. A brief description is only given. The first one is the existence of non-monetized sector. That is, we know that especially in India or in underdeveloped countries, there will be a parallel economy or non-monetized economy, and here this non-monetized or parallel economy are not under the control of Reserve Bank. And if the central bank can control the sectors or the monetized sector only, non-monetized sector, is not under the control, and even if the central bank issues directions or the proper guidance in the monetized market, it will not function as long as the non-monetized or the parallel economy is strong. Second one is the existence of the large number of non-banking financial institutions. Non-banking financial institutions are not under the purview of RBI. If RBI reduces or controls the credit, these non-bank financial institutions can provide the credit either by the objectives of the RBI can be minimized or can be challenged. And the next one is the existence of unorganized financial market. We know that the in the financial market, especially in India, there exists two parts. One is organized, which is under the direct control of RBI. Similarly, there exists an unorganized sector also, like Nidhi Chittis, etc. And if the RBI controls the credit creation process in the economy, then the parallel unorganized sector can provide the credits to the economy. This is also strong, and therefore it will hinders the proper implementation of monetary policy. Then higher liquidity in the economy, that is prevalence of the higher liquidity in the economy, is also one of the important reason for the proper functioning or the lack of proper functioning of the monetary policy. If there are excess liquidity in the economy, or if there exists excess liquidity already in the economy, then it will be very difficult for the RBI to function. And next one is the money not appearing in the economy, that is all the money or the transactions are not in terms of money. There will be some form of barter transactions also. This also hinders the functioning of the monetary policy. Then time lags in the implementation, as well as the time lag in the implementation of monetary policy is another important problem faced by the monetary policy authorities for the proper implementation of the monetary policy instrument in the country. And finally, there is a lack of coordination between the monetary and fiscal policy. That is, monetary policies are the policies by the Reserve Bank of India or the central bank, and fiscal policies are by the policies of the government of India. If the monetary authority or the central bank decides to control the volume of supply, and at the same time if the fiscal policy or the government decides to increase the public expenditure, then there will be a contradictory mechanism. And this, if the monetary and fiscal policy work in coordination, this a lot of contradictory situations can be reduced, and the money supply can be properly controlled. This lack of proper coordination between the monetary and fiscal policy is also an important reason for the limitations of the implementation of monetary policy in India. That is, the existence of non-monetized sector, existence of non-banking financial institution, unorganized financial market, then higher liquidity, money not appearing in the economy, time lags in the implementation of monetary policy, lack of proper coordination between monetary and fiscal policies are some of the important reasons for the lack of proper implementation of monetary policies in India. Various instruments of the monetary policy used in India and their rates are given for the last 20 or 25 months. Here by September 20, we know that in almost all ratios there was a deceleration or a reduction due to the COVID, and these factors or this mechanism is used for improving the money supply in the economy and thereby the reviving the economy. And during June 2019, the cash CRR was 4%, and now it reduced to 3%. Similarly, all the cases, SLR was reduced from 18.75% to 18. Then bank repo rate from 5.4 to 4% by September 11, 2020. The similar reduction or the marginal standing facility rate was reduced from 5.65 to 4.35, and bank rate from 5.65 to 4.35. These are to meet the impact of COVID on the economy, and we could see a reduction in almost all rates of monetary policy instruments in India. Therefore, we examined in this section What is monetary policy? What are the objectives of monetary policy? What are the two types of monetary policy? That is expansionary, contractionary policy. What are the different types of monetary policy approaches? Then what are the different instruments? That is, instruments are properly divided into two. They are quantitative instruments and qualitative instruments. Quantitative instruments reduces the volume of credit in the economy. Qualitative instruments discriminates the use of credit in the economy. Quantitative instruments are known as general tools, and the qualitative instruments are selective tools. The important tools used in the quantitative measures are the bank rate, open market operation, variations in reserve ratio, reverse and repo rates, then marginal standing facility rates. And important qualitative instruments used are the fixing the margin requirement, consumer credit regulation, consumer credit regulation, publicity, moral suasion, directions, direct actions, directives, etc. are the qualitative instruments. This is about the instruments of monetary policy in India.